Ethan Cole was an ordinary man, living in a quiet town on Earth far from anything exciting. His days were simple. He worked at a small repair shop, ate cheap meals, and watched old science fiction movies at night. He never thought his life would change. He never thought the universe even cared about him. But the truth was waiting, and it was stranger than anything he had ever imagined. One rainy evening, as he locked the shop and walked home, his old phone buzzed with a strange notification. The screen flickered, showing a message in a language he had never seen before. For a moment he thought it was a virus. Then the words shifted, turning into English letters. Mr. Ethan Cole, you are the chosen heir. Your inheritance is ready. Ethan frowned. Inheritance? He had no family left, at least none that would leave him anything. He tapped the screen and another line appeared. Please confirm identity. Galactic registration active. He laughed out loud. Galactic? Was this some kind of joke? Maybe one of his friends was pranking him. He put the phone in his pocket and kept walking. But the phone buzzed again, harder this time, almost like it was alive. The voice came from the speaker now, calm and cold, not human at all. Do not ignore. Inheritance protocol cannot be delayed. Stand by for transport. Ethan froze on the sidewalk. Transport? He looked around. The street was empty, only wet pavement and dim streetlights. But then the ground shook. A low hum filled the air. From above the clouds, something massive broke through. A ship. Not like the ships in movies, not like anything human. This one was black as shadow, with glowing blue lines running along its surface, larger than a skyscraper. It lowered slowly, blocking the stars, silent except for that deep hum. Windows of houses lit up. Dogs barked. People shouted in fear. And Ethan? He just stood there, staring, his heart racing. The ship landed in the empty field outside town. Dust and wind blew everywhere. A ramp extended, and from inside walked a figure of light and metal. It wasn't human. It wasn't alive in the normal sense either. It was an alien lawyer AI, a machine with a face like glass and eyes that glowed white. It walked straight toward Ethan. People screamed and ran, but the machine ignored them all. It stopped only in front of him. Ethan Cole, identification confirmed. You are the sole heir of the Zareth dynasty. Ethan blinked. What? The AI tilted its head. Your ancestor, General Kale Zareth, has passed his inheritance to you. Ethan shook his head. I don't even know a Kale Zareth. Look, you've got the wrong guy. I'm nobody. The machine's voice grew firm. The contract is binding. Bloodline confirmed. Refusal is impossible. Before Ethan could reply, the AI raised its hand. A beam of light scanned his body, reading his DNA. The machine nodded. Match complete. You are chosen. Ethan stumbled back. Chosen for what? Money, land, some alien kingdom? The machine paused, as if searching for the right words. Then it spoke slowly, each word heavy. You inherit not wealth, not land, but responsibility. You inherit the brides. The crowd around them gasped. Ethan's mind went blank. The what? The AI's glass face flickered, showing images of stars, alien worlds, and strange figures. 7 royal brides, each from a different world, each bound to you by the ancient treaty of peace. They are already on their way. Ethan almost laughed. It was too insane. Brides, alien brides? This had to be a dream. But the ship, the machine, the crowd staring in shock, none of it felt like a dream. Wait, he said slowly, panic rising. You're saying I'm supposed to marry aliens? Why me? I don't want this. The AI leaned closer, its glowing eyes burning into his. Choice does not matter. The galaxy is watching. If you refuse, the treaty collapses. War will begin. Billions will die. Ethan's legs felt weak. War? Treaty? Brides? This was madness. He wanted to run, to wake up in his small bed, to laugh about this later. But the AI's voice cut through his fear. Prepare yourself, Ethan Cole. Your inheritance arrives at sunrise. The machine stepped back. The ship rose again, vanishing into the clouds. The night was silent, except for whispers of terrified neighbors hiding behind curtains. Ethan stood alone in the street, rain dripping down his face. His phone buzzed once more, showing a countdown timer. 6 hours left. 6 hours until alien brides arrived. He looked at the sky, heart pounding, knowing his life would never be normal again. The night felt endless for Ethan Cole. He sat in his small apartment, staring at the glowing countdown on his phone. Every second ticked louder than thunder. 6 hours, 5 hours, 4. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He just kept pacing, whispering to himself, "This can't be real, this can't be real." But when dawn broke, the truth arrived. The sky above his town split open again. A different ship appeared this time, shining silver and gold, not dark like the first one. Its engines hummed like a song, beautiful and strange. The ship landed on the same field outside town, drawing crowds of people, news reporters, even soldiers who had come overnight to guard the area. The ramp lowered. Ethan's stomach twisted. Out walked the first bride. She was tall, elegant, with skin that shimmered like crystal. Her eyes glowed purple, and when she moved, it was like watching liquid light. The crowd gasped. She looked like royalty, untouchable and perfect. The alien lawyer AI's voice echoed from above.
Bride 1, Princess Liara of the Crystal Dominion.
Wielder of light, guardian of peace. Liara stepped down the ramp and stopped in front of Ethan. She studied him from head to toe, her face unreadable. Then she spoke in a calm voice, each word sharp like glass. "So, this is the human chosen as our husband? He looks fragile. Breakable," the crowd murmured. Ethan's ears burned. He wanted to shout, "I didn't ask for this," but his throat was dry. He only managed a weak smile. Before he could answer, another figure appeared on the ramp. The second bride. She was the opposite of Liara, wild and fierce. Her skin was dark bronze marked with glowing red lines. Her hair burned like fire and heat followed her steps. Soldiers nearby backed away as the air grew hot. She smirked at Ethan with sharp teeth. Bride 2, General Kira of the Flame Clans, warrior of 1,000 battles. Kira stomped down the ramp, her armor clanking. She looked Ethan up and down, then laughed loudly. This tiny human? I could snap him in half with one hand, huh? This will be fun." Ethan's jaw dropped. Fun? She looked like she wanted to wrestle him, not marry him, but the ship wasn't done. A third bride stepped out, floating above the ground. Her body was wrapped in silver cloth, and dozens of glowing symbols floated around her like fireflies. Her voice wasn't spoken. It was inside Ethan's mind. Bride 3, Seer Vena of the Mind Order, keeper of secrets, speaker of thoughts. Ethan clutched his head. He could hear her words echoing inside his skull. "Human, I can feel your fear. It tastes sharp. Do not worry. I will help guide you, or control you. Whichever the treaty demands." Ethan nearly fainted. Control him? Was she serious? The crowd behind him gasped again as a fourth figure emerged. This one was small, smaller than Ethan. A young alien girl with blue skin and bright green hair, carrying a staff almost bigger than herself. She looked harmless until the ground trembled with each of her steps. Bride 4, Princess Lyra of the Earthborn, child of mountains, master of stone. Lyra's eyes sparkled with mischief. She giggled, pointing at Ethan. "So tiny, so soft, I like him. I will keep him as my pet husband." The soldiers nearby looked terrified. If this child could shake the ground, what else could she do? Ethan's knees felt weak. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move, and still, the ship continued. The fifth bride walked down slowly. She was quiet, graceful, but her presence made everyone step back. She was covered in dark robes, her face hidden by a mask. Only her golden eyes showed, glowing faintly in the shadows. Bride 5, Lady Seraph of the Silent Blades. Assassin Queen. Ethan's skin crawled. Assassin Queen? That combination sounded very bad. She stood near him without saying a word, silent as death itself. The sixth bride followed, huge, towering, with 4 arms and skin like steel. Chains of gold hung from her shoulders, and her deep voice shook the ground. Bride 6, Commander Thalra of the Titanborn, breaker of fleets, crusher of enemies. She bent down, her face close to Ethan's. Her eyes were like burning suns. "You are small," she said slowly. "But maybe you are brave. We will see." Ethan swallowed hard. He wasn't sure he was brave at all. Finally, the last bride stepped forward. She was nothing like the others. She looked almost human. Soft brown skin, long black hair, gentle eyes. She wore a simple white dress, no armor, no glowing symbols. Bride 7, Aria of the Forgotten Worlds. Last of her kind. Ethan stared at her. She gave him a small, shy smile, unlike the others. For a moment, he felt something calm in her presence, something real. The alien lawyer AI's voice boomed again. 7 brides, 7 worlds, 1 husband. The treaty is complete. The crowd exploded with noise, fear, questions, shouting. Soldiers shouted into radios, cameras flashed, people screamed. Ethan just stood there, dizzy, his life spinning out of control. 7 alien brides, each one more powerful than the last, and all of them were now looking at him. Princess Liara stepped forward again, her crystal eyes sharp. "Human," she said coldly. "You must prove yourself worthy, or this treaty will mean nothing." General Kira cracked her knuckles, grinning. "I hope he fails. I love a good fight." Ethan took a shaky breath. His head spun. He wanted to scream that he wasn't ready, that he didn't even believe this was happening. But deep down, he knew one thing. There was no turning back. The galaxy was watching. Ethan Cole thought meeting the brides was the peak of his nightmare. But the real nightmare was only starting. The crowd around the field had not calmed. Soldiers tried to push people back. News cameras clicked. Children cried. Yet all of this chaos felt far away to Ethan. His entire focus was on the 7 beings now standing before him. 7 alien brides, each carrying more power than an army. The alien lawyer AI hovered above, its glass face glowing. "The treaty is now active," it declared. "The brides will remain by your side. Protect them, lead them. They will protect you in return. Protect him?" Ethan almost laughed. He didn't need protection, he needed a way out. But before he could speak, the AI's voice dropped lower, colder. "Warning. Not all factions approve of this marriage pact. Assassination attempts are expected. Trust no one." The words sank deep into Ethan's bones. Assassination already? He glanced at the brides, searching their faces. Which of them could he trust? Which of them was already planning to betray him? Princess Liara, the crystal-skinned beauty, folded her arms. "I knew this would happen," she said coolly. "The flame clans will never accept peace so easily." General Kira, the fire warrior, growled. "Do not accuse my people, Glass Princess. I came here bound by the treaty. If I wanted him dead, he would already be ash." Ethan stepped back, caught between 2 powerful women glaring at each other like predators. Wait, he shouted, holding his hands up. "Can we not fight over who wants me dead? That's really not helping." The smaller bride, Lyra of the Earthborn, giggled and stomped her foot. The ground shook just enough to silence everyone. "He's funny," she said, grinning. "I like when he panics," but Ethan didn't feel like laughing. His phone buzzed again, the countdown now replaced with a new message. "Protocol, survive first night. Danger level, extreme." His stomach twisted. Survive? That meant danger was coming sooner than he thought. The brides were escorted to a secured compound the soldiers had prepared, a former government facility with thick walls and high fences. Ethan followed, half in shock, half in dread. Inside, he was given a room that looked more like a prison cell than a suite. The brides were placed in separate quarters around him, each guarded but free to move. Night fell quickly. The compound was silent except for distant footsteps of guards and the low hum of alien technology being installed. Ethan lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind spun with 100 questions. Who was Kale Zarath, his so-called ancestor? Why him? And most important, who wanted him dead? His thoughts were broken by a whisper. Human. Ethan sat up. The shadows in the corner moved, and Lady Seraph, the masked assassin bride, stepped into the dim light. Her golden eyes glowed faintly. "You should not sleep," she said softly. "The killers will come." Ethan's heart jumped. "Killers? You mean tonight?" She nodded once. "Yes, I can smell them already. Hired blades. Not ours, outsiders." Before Ethan could ask more, the alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Shouts filled the compound. The attack had begun. Windows shattered as black-clad figures poured inside, their weapons glowing with alien energy. Soldiers rushed to fight, but the intruders moved too fast. Ethan ducked as blasts of light scorched the walls. Liara appeared at his side, her crystal body glowing bright. She raised her hands, unleashing a shield of pure light that blocked incoming fire. "Stay behind me, human!" she ordered. Kira roared, leaping into the fray with her flaming sword, cutting down 2 assassins in seconds. Lyra stomped, and the floor cracked, swallowing 3 attackers whole. Vena, the mind-seer, lifted her hands, and the enemies froze mid-step, clutching their heads as she crushed their thoughts. It was chaos, alien powers against alien blades, light and fire and stone tearing through the night. Ethan crawled behind an overturned table, shaking. This wasn't a treaty. This was a war disguised as marriage. Whoever wanted peace clearly had enemies everywhere. One of the assassins spotted him and broke through the defenses, charging straight at Ethan with a dagger raised high. Ethan froze, too slow to move. But before the blade could strike, a shadow moved faster. Lady Seraph appeared behind the assassin, her dagger sliding cleanly into his neck. He collapsed without a sound. She turned to Ethan, her mask inches from his face. "You live because I allow it," she whispered. "Remember that." Ethan's breath shook. He wanted to thank her, but the words caught in his throat. Outside, the battle raged. Thalra, the Titan-born, smashed through walls, throwing enemies aside like toys. Arya, the quiet seventh bride, sang a strange, haunting melody that filled the compound. To Ethan's shock, some of the assassins dropped their weapons and wept, their spirits crushed by her sorrowful song. Finally, after what felt like hours, the last attacker fell. The compound was a ruin, walls broken, flames burning, soldiers injured. Ethan stood in the middle, breathing hard, his body trembling. The brides surrounded him, each glowing with power, each looking at him in a different way, some with anger, some with pity, some with hunger. Liara stepped forward. This was only the beginning. More will come. "You must decide, human. Do you wish to survive or do you wish to die?" Ethan swallowed hard. His voice was shaky but steady enough. "I don't want war. I don't want to die, but I think someone out there does. And I think they'll stop at nothing to make sure I don't see tomorrow." In the silence that followed, Vena's voice echoed in his mind. "You are right. And worse, the traitor may already be among us." Ethan's blood ran cold. Among us? Did that mean one of the brides? His eyes darted from face to face, and for the first time he realized. He wasn't sure who to fear more, the assassins outside or the bride standing at his side. The compound smelled of smoke and blood. The assassins were gone, but their shadows still clung to the walls. Ethan Cole sat on a broken chair, his hands shaking, his ears ringing from the chaos. He had survived the night, but only because of the brides. Without them, he would already be a corpse. Yet survival didn't feel like victory. It felt like a warning. The alien lawyer AI appeared again, its glassy face flickering in the dim light. "Protocol complete. Air has survived first night. Initiating Phase 2, adaptation." Ethan raised his head, exhausted.
Adaptation?
What does that even mean? The AI's glowing eyes turned to him. "Human body cannot endure the burden of the treaty. You must be upgraded. Your ancestors' blood carries the key." Before Ethan could protest, Liara stepped forward. Her crystal skin shone faintly in the firelight. "It is true. Kale Zareth, the war hero, was not only a leader, he was enhanced. His bloodline carries dormant codes. You must unlock them or you will die before this war ends." Ethan's mouth went dry. "Enhanced like superhuman?" Kira grinned, flames dancing around her shoulders. "Exactly. And about time. Right now you're weaker than a hatchling." Ethan wanted to argue, but deep down he knew they were right. He couldn't survive as he was. He would never keep up with assassins, soldiers, or even the brides themselves. The AI's hand extended, holding a needle-like device glowing blue. "Infusion required. Genetic key will awaken." Ethan's stomach twisted. 1,000 thoughts raced through his head. What if it killed him? What if it turned him into a monster? What if he lost his humanity? But when he looked at the brides, 7 pairs of alien eyes staring at him, he knew he had no choice. He closed his eyes. "Do it," the needle pressed into his arm. A burning sensation shot through his veins, spreading like wildfire. Ethan gasped, clutching his chest as his heart pounded like a drum. His vision blurred, his skin burned, his bones ached. He collapsed to the floor screaming. The bride stood in silence watching. Some curious, some cold, some almost worried. Then the fire inside him shifted. The pain became power. His skin glowed faintly, his heartbeat steadied, and his vision sharpened until he could see every crack in the walls, every drop of blood on the floor. His muscles tightened, stronger than before. When Ethan finally stood, his breath was heavy, but his eyes shone with new light. What did you do to me?" he whispered. Liara's lips curved into the faintest smile. "We awakened you. Now you are more than human. You are heir of Zareth." Kira slapped his back so hard he nearly fell over. "Finally. Maybe you won't die in the first 10 seconds of a fight now." But the change wasn't just physical. As Ethan walked, he felt something strange, an energy humming inside him, waiting to be used. When he touched a broken wall, Sparks of blue light ran across his hand. The wall cracked further, then crumbled. Lyra clapped her hands, laughing. He broke stone with a touch. I like this version better. Ethan's eyes widened. He hadn't even meant to do that. The AI explained, your ancestor's gift is energy resonance. You can channel energy into matter. With training, you may shape it as weapon, shield, or force. Ethan stared at his hands, both amazed and terrified. Could he control this? Or would it destroy him? Training began the next day. Thalra, the Titanborn, was his first teacher. She made him run across the training field, carrying weights heavier than his own body. His new strength helped, but the effort still broke him. Your body must match your power, she rumbled. Strength without discipline is useless. Kira took the next turn, sparring with him using fire blades. Ethan dodged clumsily, barely avoiding burns. She laughed as he stumbled. Move, human. If you can't keep up, you'll roast alive in a real fight. Liara taught him focus. She sat him down, surrounded by glowing crystals, teaching him to draw energy into his hands without losing control. At first, Ethan's attempts caused explosions, small ones, but enough to scorch the walls. Liara sighed, clumsy. But there is potential. And then there was Vena the seer. She didn't train his body but his mind. She forced him to face visions of war, betrayal, and death, whispering in his head, fear controls you. Break it or it will break you. Days turned into weeks. Ethan's body grew stronger, his control steadier. He learned to shape energy into a glowing shield that could block attacks, and later into a blade sharp enough to cut steel. He learned to channel bursts of force through his punches, sending training dummies flying across the field. But with power came doubt. Every night, Ethan lay awake, wondering if he was becoming something else, something not human. His reflection no longer looked the same. His eyes glowed faintly blue now, like distant stars. One evening, Arya, the quiet seventh bride, found him sitting alone. She sat beside him, her gentle presence calming. You're afraid? She said softly. Ethan nodded. I don't know what I'm becoming. I never wanted this. I just wanted a normal life. Arya looked at him, her eyes full of sorrow. None of us chose this, but sometimes the galaxy chooses for us. For the first time, Ethan felt a strange connection with one of the brides. She understood him, not as a weapon, not as a treaty, but as a person. Before he could reply, the AI appeared again, its voice sharp. Warning. Hostile fleets detected at the edge of the system. Prepare for conflict. Ethan's heart dropped. He wasn't ready for war. Not yet, but deep down he knew, ready or not, the galaxy was coming for him. The compound no longer felt like a prison to Ethan. It felt like a storm. Every day was training, planning, or preparing for the fleets gathering at the edge of the system. Every night was silence, filled with doubts he couldn't escape. He had power now, yes, but power came with chains. Chains made of duty. The brides were always around him. They were supposed to be allies, protectors, partners. But they were also strangers, each with her own secrets. Some treated him like a leader, some like a burden, and some like something more, and that was the problem. One evening, Princess Liara, with her crystal skin glowing faintly, called him to the gardens of the compound. She stood tall, her presence regal, her eyes sharp. Ethan Cole, she said, you must stop thinking like a human and start thinking like a ruler. You are heir of Zareth. You are not just our husband, you are the anchor of peace. 7 worlds depend on you. Ethan shook his head. I didn't choose this. I never wanted to be anyone's anchor. I just wanted a normal life. Liara's gaze hardened. Normal life is gone. You are bound by duty. If you fail, the galaxy burns. Her words weighed on him like chains. Duty, responsibility, treaty. Those were the words everyone used. But what about him? What about choice? The next night, it was not duty he faced. It was something far more human. General Kira, the fire warrior, dragged him to the training hall. After hours of sparring, both of them covered in sweat and bruises, she laughed, throwing down her sword. You fight better now, human, she said with a grin. Not as weak as before. Ethan smirked despite himself. That's the nicest thing you've said to me. Kira stepped closer, her eyes burning brighter than her flames. I don't care about treaties or politics. I like warriors. And you're starting to look like one. Ethan's chest tightened. For a moment, the world outside, the fleets, the treaties, the AI faded away. It was just him and Kira, fire crackling between them. But before he could speak, she leaned close and whispered, Careful, human. If you choose one of us, the others will not stay silent. And then she left, leaving Ethan shaken. The days grew heavier. He felt pulled in every direction. Liara spoke of duty. Kira spoke of fire. Lyra, the earthborn child princess, followed him everywhere, calling him husband and laughing at his panic. Seraph, the assassin, watched him silently from the shadows, saying nothing but never leaving his side. But it was Arya, the quiet seventh bride, who made him question everything. She would sit with him when the others were gone. She asked nothing of him. No power, no loyalty, no proof. She simply listened. When Ethan spoke of fear, she didn't judge. When he spoke of wanting to run away, she didn't scold. She just nodded, her sad eyes holding his pain. One night, Ethan asked, "Why are you here, Arya? You don't act like the others. You don't push me. You don't demand anything." Arya looked at the stars above the compound. Her voice was soft. "Because I know what it feels like to have no choice. My world is gone, Ethan. I am the last of my people. I did not choose this marriage any more than you did, but maybe we can choose to survive together." Ethan's heart ached at her words. In her, he saw himself, trapped by fate, caught in a game neither of them asked to play. But even as small sparks of connection formed, the shadows of betrayal were already moving. It happened during a council meeting. The AI displayed the movements of hostile fleets gathering closer. Liara argued for stronger defenses. Kira demanded they strike first. Thalra wanted to crush the enemy with brute force. The hall filled with shouts and anger, and then the power went out. The lights died. The holograms vanished. The doors slammed shut. A sharp hiss filled the room. Poison gas. Ethan coughed, his vision blurring. The brides reacted instantly. Liara raised a shield of light. Kira burned the air. Thalra smashed the doors open. But in that chaos, Ethan saw something he would never forget. One of the brides had moved too quickly. Not to protect him, not to fight, but to signal the attackers waiting outside. It was only a flash. Only a glimpse, but Ethan knew what he saw. One of his brides was the traitor. The attack was repelled, but the poison lingered in Ethan's chest. He sat in his quarters later, coughing, pale, his body still weak despite his new strength. The brides surrounded him, silent, watching. He looked at them one by one. Liara's cold gaze, Kira's fiery smirk, Vena's unreadable eyes, Lyra's mischievous grin, Seraph's mask, Thalra's heavy presence, Arya's quiet sorrow. One of them wanted him dead. One of them was working with the enemy. And Ethan realized something painful. It wasn't just about surviving battles. It wasn't just about unlocking power. He had to decide who to trust, not just as brides, but as allies, as partners. His heart wanted one thing, his duty demanded another, and betrayal was already in his home. Love or duty? Choice or survival? The galaxy didn't care what he chose, but if he made the wrong choice, it would all collapse. The poison attack changed everything. For days, Ethan could feel the weight of suspicion pressing down on the compound. He could hardly breathe without wondering if one of the 7 brides standing near him wanted him dead. Every meeting, every meal, every glance felt heavy. The enemy outside was dangerous, but the hidden enemy inside was worse. The alien lawyer AI confirmed his fears. The treaty is fragile. One betrayal can shatter it. Already rival fleets gather at the borders. War is near, Ethan wanted to scream. He hadn't asked for this treaty. Hadn't asked for power, hadn't asked for 7 brides or 7 worlds watching his every move. But the galaxy didn't care. The galaxy had already chosen him, and now the galaxy was going to war. The first strike came at dawn. From the watchtower, Ethan saw the sky tear open as enemy ships descended. Dark metal, sharp as blades, swarming in the atmosphere like angry wasps. Explosions thundered across the horizon. The compound shook under the assault. Soldiers ran. Sirens wailed. Civilians screamed. The brides rushed to the battlefield. Liara raised walls of light to shield the compound. Kira unleashed rivers of flame, burning enemy machines mid-air. Thalra smashed through the gates, meeting armored walkers with her fists, tearing them apart like toys. Lyra summoned the earth itself, raising stone towers that crushed tanks. And Ethan? He stood in the center, his heart racing, his hands glowing with the strange blue energy he had only just begun to control. "Ethan!" Liara shouted over the chaos. "The treaty is broken. You must lead. Lead!" Ethan shouted back, his voice cracking. "I don't even know how to lead myself." But there was no time to argue. A blast ripped through the compound, knocking him back. He hit the ground hard, his ears ringing, dust choking his lungs. He coughed, pushed himself up, and saw dozens of soldiers running straight for him. They weren't human soldiers. Their armor was alien, black and silver, their eyes glowing red. They weren't here to fight the brides. They were here for him. Target confirmed. One of them hissed. "Kill the heir." Ethan's blood froze. He raised his hands instinctively, the blue energy sparking alive. A wave of force burst from him, knocking the attackers back. They crashed into walls and tumbled across the ground. For a moment, even he stood in shock. He hadn't meant to release that much power. Kira roared with laughter, cutting down 2 soldiers beside him. Finally human. That's the spirit. But the battle only grew worse. The enemy's fleet darkened the skies, dropping wave after wave of troops. Liara's shields began to crack under the pressure. Vena clutched her head, her psychic power strained. "They know our weaknesses," she gasped. "Someone told them?" "Everything." Ethan's chest tightened. The betrayal was real. Someone had fed the enemy information. And that someone was close, too close. Yet there was no time to hunt for answers. The battle raged on. Hours passed in blood and fire. The compound was in ruins. The brides fought like legends, but even legends could be broken. Ethan saw Kira stumble, flames flickering low. He saw Liara's crystal body chipped and cracked. He saw Thalra kneeling, bleeding golden ichor. And then he saw Earth itself burning. Reports came from across the planet. Cities under attack, human armies falling back, millions fleeing. The war wasn't just on alien soil anymore. Humanity had been dragged into the fight. The AI's voice rang in Ethan's head. "Heir of Zarath, you must command. Only your voice can unite them. Only your choice can end this war." Ethan's throat was dry. His mind screamed that he wasn't ready, that he was just a repairman who liked old movies, not a commander of worlds. But when he looked around, the soldiers bleeding, the brides fighting, the humans crying, he realized no one else could do it. He climbed onto the ruins of the command tower, his body glowing faintly with energy. He raised his voice as high as it could go. "Listen to me," he shouted, his words carried by the AI across the battlefield, across the planet, across the stars. "I never asked for this war. I never asked for this power. But I will not stand here and let you destroy my home. If you want me, come for me. But know this." The energy in his hands flared, bursting into a glowing spear of blue light. He raised it high, the sky itself trembling. "I am not afraid of you anymore." The battlefield froze for a heartbeat. Soldiers, brides, enemies all stared at him. And then the tide shifted. Human armies rallied. The brides roared in unison. Even the earth itself seemed to shake with his words. But deep in the enemy fleet, a shadow watched. A figure cloaked in darkness, its voice cold. "So," it whispered, "the heir awakens. Good, let him rise. So we can break him." The battle ended at dusk, but the war had only begun. The enemy retreated, leaving fire and ash behind. Cities lay in ruins. The compound was barely standing. Ethan stood among the wreckage, his body aching, his mind spinning. The brides gathered around him, some proud, some silent, some unreadable. Liara's voice cut through the smoke. "You fought as heir today." But Ethan didn't feel like a hero. He felt hollow, staring at the sky where enemy ships vanished into the stars. He knew they would return. Stronger, smarter. And next time, the hidden traitor might strike again. The war was no longer a distant threat. It was here and it was his. The battlefield was quiet, but it was not peace. Smoke drifted in the sky, cities burned in the distance, and the cries of survivors filled the air. Ethan Cole stood in the ruins of the compound, his body glowing faintly with the strange power of his bloodline. He had survived, yes. He had even fought back. But he knew the truth. This was not the end. It was only the beginning. The alien lawyer AI appeared once more, its glassy face shining in the dying light. "The enemy retreats, but the war is not over. They will return with full force. The heir must decide, continue the treaty or break it and fight alone." Ethan's chest tightened. The treaty. The brides. The betrayal. He thought of the 7 women who stood around him now. Warriors, rulers, assassins, seers. Each one powerful enough to shake the stars. And one of them a traitor. How could he lead when he couldn't even trust the people closest to him? Liara stepped forward, her crystal body cracked but unbroken. "You must stay with the treaty, Ethan. The galaxy respects only strength and alliance. Without us, humanity will be crushed." Kira's eyes burned, her flames dim but fierce. No, alliances are chains. Let us strike first. Let us burn their fleets before they gather. Don't hide behind treaties. Be a warrior. Vena the seer spoke softly, her voice echoing in his head. Both choices lead to blood, but only one path gives hope. Ethan turned to Arya, the quiet bride, the one who never demanded, never shouted. She met his eyes with sorrow. You must choose, Ethan, not for us. For everyone. For yourself. The weight of galaxies pressed on his shoulders. Duty or freedom. Love or survival. Alliance or war. But before he could speak, the sky tore open again. A fleet appeared, darker and larger than before. Thousands of ships covering the stars like a black storm. At the center of it, a massive flagship, its shadow stretching across the earth. And from that shadow came a voice, deep and cold, filling every mind on the planet. Heir of Zarath, you are nothing. Give yourself to us and we will spare your world. Resist and your planet will burn. The people below screamed. Soldiers panicked. The bride stood ready, their power blazing, but even they knew the truth. This fleet was too large. This was not just an attack. This was annihilation. The AI whispered, decision required. Do you surrender, or do you fight? Ethan's heart pounded. His mind screamed at him to run, to hide, to give up. But deep down something stirred. A memory. His ancestors' bloodline. Kael Zarath, the war hero who had faced impossible odds and never bowed. Ethan raised his head, his glowing eyes burning brighter. No, he said. I will not surrender. If the galaxy wants me, then the galaxy will face me. The blue energy within him exploded, brighter than ever before, wrapping around his body like armor. His voice carried across the battlefield into the minds of his people, his brides, even his enemies. I am Ethan Cole, I am human. I did not choose this war, but I will not let you take my world. I will not let you break my people. If I must stand alone, then I will. But I am not afraid of you anymore. The bride stepped forward one by one. Liara lifted her crystal blade. Then we stand with you. Kira's flames roared higher. Let the galaxy burn before it breaks us. Thalra raised her fists, her forearms shining with golden chains. We crush fleets together. Vena's voice filled the air. The path is set. We rise or we fall, but we rise together. Even Seraph, the assassin queen, whispered behind her mask. Your enemies are mine now. And Arya, gentle Arya, touched his hand. You are not alone, Ethan, not anymore. The enemy fleet opened fire. The skies rained fire. The earth shook. Ethan raised his hands and the energy inside him surged outward. Shields of blue light spread across the battlefield, blocking the first wave of destruction. He shouted, his voice echoing through the storm. Then let this war end today. The brides unleashed their full power. Liara's light cut through ships like glass. Kira's flames turned the sky into fire. Thalra smashed enemy carriers with her fists. Lyra tore open the ground, swallowing tanks whole. Vena crippled enemy pilots with her mind. Seraph struck from the shadows, blades flashing unseen. And Arya sang, her sorrowful voice breaking enemy spirits until they fled in despair. And Ethan, he became something more than human. His energy burst into the sky, a storm of light and power tearing through fleets, shattering weapons, turning the tide. The enemy flagship trembled. The dark voice screamed in rage. And then with one final surge, Ethan hurled his power forward. A spear of blue light pierced the flagship, ripping it apart in a blinding explosion. The fleet broke. The survivors fled into the stars. Silence fell. The war was over. The battlefield was still at last. Ash drifted down like snow. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted, his body trembling. The brides gathered around him, their faces lit with awe, relief, and something more. Respect. Liara bowed her head. You are not just heir of Zarath. You are something greater. Kira grinned, bloodied but proud. Now you're a warrior. Arya knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder. Now you're free. Ethan looked at the sky, the stars shining once more. He had begun as a nobody, a simple man in a small town. Now he was a name the galaxy would remember. Not because he was chosen, but because he chose.